Hello, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and another platform I can't think of right now. Oh, of course, Twitch. I think I said Twitch. I'm not sure. It's been that kind of day. Um, Polished off this bottle of Dr. Pepper. But how's your Wednesday going? My name is Frank Lavinia, and you can catch me on any number of these sites: franksworld.com, datadriven.tv, and of course, impactquantum.com. Let me share you something that went live today. This is our recent podcast episode that Andy and I recorded with author Brian Lenaham. Awesome guy, smart guy. He wrote quite possibly one of the best books that's out there right now on quantum computing. It's called Quantum Boost. Highly recommend you pick it up, either on Dead Tree or in Kindle format. You can go to Amazon and pick up your copy. In this episode, we ask him about quantum computing, what the current state of quantum computing is, and kind of how to get started. Great conversation, great discussion. You can check it out on Impact Quantum, the podcast. I think now there's a blog post on franksworld.com. This is the magic of automation. I'm not totally sure. Yep, it's there too. So depending on which site you want to look at it at, it's there. And so he heads up the Quantum Strategy Institute, which helps organizations, but mostly large enterprises, figure out where the risks are around quantum computing and why they should care. Because right now, there's no quote unquote quantum computer you can, order on Amazon or, well, that's not totally true. You could use their quantum service, but that's not what I meant. No one's going to show up. Well, that's not totally true either. Right now, you really can't get a quantum computer on your desktop, although that's changing soon. And check out Impact Quantum for the blog post when that comes out. But ultimately, quantum computing is an emerging field. It's an emerging technology, but it's already here. We talk about that, kind of what's already happened in the space. Great episode. One of the best I think we've had of Impact Quantum, although the last one was pretty good too. We're really cooking here on Impact Quantum by actually getting guests and things like that. It's not just me prattling on about my knowledge of quantum computing, which is better than it was, but it's certainly not as good as Brian's or Dr. Mark Jackson's. The other thing I wanted to point out is I'm not alone. When I first went to MLabs, Machine Learning and Data Science Summit in 2019, last one they had in person in November 2019, I was floored by the concept of what quantum computing could do and quantum-inspired computing could do. I was just completely blown away about the possibilities, the art of the possible, if you will. And ultimately, I came back. I was all about quantum computing, and people around me kind of looked at me like, okay, that sounds cool, but it's kind of very futuristic. And again, 2 years is a long time in technology. But apparently I'm not alone anymore. I mean, obviously there's people like Brian who wrote this awesome book on the topic, which I highly recommend that book, because if you're excited about quantum computing, get that book, read it, and then get one for your boss, because once your boss reads that, and then maybe get it for your boss's boss, because it's going to frame up a really good business case for quantum computing and why it's important, how it's going to transform the enterprise. And if you're not excited about quantum computing, pick it up. It's totally worth it. You will get excited about quantum computing. All right. So now it's not just me anymore. And it's now in the C-suite. In fact, earlier this week, this was the 28th. So I guess that would have been yesterday. The CEO of IBM Computing, CEO of IBM, basically says that quantum computing is going to take off like a rocket ship this decade. And I honestly believe that. I think it is going to change things. I don't know what the quantum ecosystem is going to look like. I don't think anyone really knows yet. I don't think the folks at Fairchild Semiconductor could have foreseen Intel, could have foreseen AMD, could have foreseen Snapdragon and the M1. Like it's just we're headed down a path here that is so exciting. It's opening up new frontiers, and I think he's right. This is going to explode in the next decade. It's going to take off, and it's really good. And it's basically it's all kind of coming together. And 2 years ago, this seemed kind of ridiculous. Um, um, Now it's plausible, right? And very soon it's going to be possible. In fact, some would argue it's already possible now. Um, in the show, Brian kind of highlighted instances where quantum computing is in production right now. But this is kind of the quote of the day. Let's suppose, this is what the CEO of IBM said, because let's suppose one capital markets institution uses quantum computing, to get a better price arbitrage on some financial instrument. Don't you think everyone else will want to do it then too, instantaneously? I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's going to reach a certain critical mass, and I don't know if we're there yet. I don't know if we're at that tipping point, but once it does, it's going to go kaboom. A lot like the internet did, right? I wasn't around during the birth of Intel, and kind of, I was just a kid when the home PC revolution happened. But when the internet happened, if you track the growth of websites on the internet, it was exponential. And sometime around 94, 95, it just exploded. And then in 96, it just kept exploding. Now, obviously there was the dot-com bust, but you can't argue that the internet and the web, particularly the World Wide Web, really changed the way we do things. Same thing with mobile, same thing with social. That's how these things happen. There's a fancy term for this, but once you reach a certain critical mass, it will go kaboom. Guarantee it. And the one thing I did not ask, and my one regret in this interview with Brian, was, is there going to be an audiobook version? Because I think this would be a kick-ass, can I say that? This will be a really cool audiobook for sure, absolutely. So with that, it's kind of late in the day I got to the stream, but I did stream today, and that's all that matters. Hope you're having a great week. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. And with that, I'm going to end the show because I don't see any questions, and you have a great day.